Well, it's Merrin Stockdale speaking on the 23rd of April 2005, and I'm talking with Keith Bellis. Could you talk to us about your memories of the time in the 39th, starting with how did you become involved in the 39th?
When I first joined the Army in 39, I joined the 58th Militia Battalion when I was living up at Euroa. And then after 2 3-month camps, one at Ngambie Road, Seymour, and one at Mount Martha, we were starting a third camp at Mount Martha, and then we transferred to Warcool, not Warcool, Trawell, just out of Seymour, and we were there for 3 or 4 weeks, and it came through calling for volunteers from every Victorian militia battalion to reform this 39th Battalion for special duty in New Guinea. About 50 of us went, including myself and another lifelong mate, and quite a few others from here I went to school with. Anyway, into the 39th Battalion, and that's how I got into it.
The lifelong mate, what was his name?
Ron Halsell.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And also another chap by the name of Gordon Moore. We lived right next to Gordon. And in the latter part of my life at Euroa, I left Euroa when I was about 17 and working in Melbourne. Anyway, I was just 18 when I joined the militia, and of course you had to be to join up. So that's how I became involved with 39th.
And you went to Darley?
We went to Darley, yes. I think it was the 5th of October 41. We went into October to start training. I think it was the 5th of October in 41. There till Boxing Day. Don't worry, Christmas Day we were digging slip trenches.
Did you celebrate Christmas Day in any way?
Well, not really, I suppose. Look, I can't even remember whether it was a church parade or not. I couldn't say. I know we were digging trenches, slip trenches, which we didn't think was a very popular way of spending Christmas Day. But then the next day we were all packed up and on the way to Sydney by train.
On the Christmas Day, did you know that the next day you'd be leaving?
Yes, I think we did. I think we did, because we'd have had to pack up on Christmas Day.
So did that add excitement or a bit of fear or nervousness?
No, more or less. Excitement, I would say. Going to travel, see new parts of the world we've never seen before.
And that was your first time to go overseas?
Yes, it was. And particularly on the big ship Aquitania, 40,000 tonne job, no schooner.
What were your memories of the Aquitania?
Oh, well, almost getting lost on it. There's so many decks, and we used to do PT or PE, physical exercise. We used to run around the decks and sleeping down below decks in the lower decks. And actually, it was quite pleasant. I enjoyed the trip. And I remember one day there was a sudden surge of power, and the Aquitania started getting out in front quite a bit, and we found out there was a bit of a sub scare, and she took off, and anyway the fleet all rejoined later on, and I think it took us, I don't know how many days it took. I think we arrived in New Guinea on the 3rd or the 6th of January, so I can't even remember the exact date, but it was about a week or 8 days, something like that, after we left Sydney. And when we arrived in the harbour port, we couldn't get right into the wharves because the ship was too big for the harbour, wasn't deep enough. And so we were anchored out in mid-bay sort of, and these young native boys, they came out with throwing coins over, they'd dive down and bring them up, and they had a ball. And we had to scramble over the sides of the ship in nets down into the ship tenders to take us into shore, yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of excitement, you know, something different, something new.
Were you carrying your own things when you scrambled down, or did they offload those separately?
Oh, we'd have our own rifles. I'm sure we'd have our own rifles. We'd have a pack on our backs, I would say. But whether we had everything or not, look, I can't remember. Quite honest, I can't remember if we had it all, you know.
But generally it was an exciting time.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, yes, some new country and seeing the Papuan people, and they're such a happy lot, you know, always smiles, grins from ear to ear. And they enjoyed this duck diving down and coming up with the coins, and they're marvellous swimmers, absolutely. Leave a duck for dead. But, oh yes, then we got onto land and we had to form up and march out to where we're going to camp. Now, whether we got to the 7 Mile aerodrome that night or not, I'm not sure. Things are a bit hazy that way. But we had no mosquito nets, nothing. I think we just slept on the side of the road, I think. Remember? Oh, look, you have to get somebody else to clarify that.
So it was starting to get difficult right from day one then?
Oh, we had no
tents, no mosquito nets?
No mosquito nets. We had no mosquito
repellents or anything
like that, no. And, took us a little while to get onto that. We finally got out to 7 Mile Drome and we found our spots and our tents arrived and we settled down.
And water? Was there a problem with water that you can remember?
Whether they had water carts or not.
But it obviously wasn't a big problem that you've remembered.
I don't think so. Miriam.
And then straight into work, was it, digging?
Oh, we had straight into work to laying our lines and establishing our positions, you know, various companies around various parts of the aerodrome and so on and so on. And
were you a signaller at this stage?
yeah, oh yes, I was a signaller.
So you'd have specific jobs to do?
Yes, when I first joined the 58th Battalion, I was asked what I did, and you know, well, I was always in the Scouts from a very young age, about 10 or 11, and we learnt the Morse code, we learnt the semaphore code with the flags, you know. As soon as I mentioned, oh right, you'll do for the SIGs. So I was in the signals of the 58th Battalion and the 39th Battalion, yes. And so scouting was quite an advantage to me because it organised what I'd be doing in the army, yeah, signals. And I enjoyed the signal work too.
What would the role of a signaller be, somebody in the signals?
Communication between the outlying companies and the battalion headquarters. We had, I think it was three SIGs, I think it was, to each company. I think it was 3 SIGs to each company. And there were 6, A, B, C, D, and E company, 5 companies, I think it was, A, B, C, D, and E, 5 companies. And then we had the rest of the signals at battalion headquarters. And of course to be on shift work and things like that, you know. And,
24 hours a day?
Oh yes, it was 24 hours a day, yeah, that's 24 hours a day. And yeah, communication between the outlying companies and battalion headquarters, yeah.
So how did you communicate?
By telephone.
And you had to lay the telephone wires?
Telephone lines, yes, right out from battalion headquarters out to the various companies. Well, that was an experience. One day we're going along this rather narrow track, you know, and of course we got the reel on a piece of stick or something. As we're going, it's unreeling, you know. You're not watching where you're going, except you're watching your feet along the track. And all of a sudden we ran into this thick, sticky mess. Oh, yeah, Chloe, it was one of these golden orb spiders.
Oh, oh dear. Occupied with the spider?
Oh, well, we went one way and the reel went another way, and quite an experience, yeah. We tended to look up a bit more after that, you know. Oh, huge webs. They've been known to get young birds and all that sort of thing. You know.
Very strong.
Very
strong
strong.
winds.
Very strong. Yes. Oh, yeah. Huge spiders, huge big spiders, yeah. But we learned to avoid them and but no harm was done, you know. But, we got our lines laid and so on, yeah.
So to lay them, you'd dig a hole and put them in and bury them, or just across the ground?
And in places we'd have them strung up in trees, you know, aerial crossings and things like that. Oh, yeah.
Were they ever tampered with?
Not that I know of. No, I know the local natives weren't around there. No, they didn't. They didn't interfere with them at all. No, not that I know of. And we were all round about there, various parts around the countryside around here at home and so on.
And while the others were getting themselves set up around the 7 Mile Drome, you were busy laying your lines, your cables, were you?
Oh, yes. That's what we did. It didn't take us that long to lay them for each company, you know, lay their cables. Oh, no.
Can you remember anything else about those early days around the drone?
Oh, yeah, well, there was one part was we had the later on came the anti-aircraft guns came. They were situated up the top of the hill there called Akak Hill, and then the searchlights came a little bit later, and we had. You heard the chap talking yesterday about the Hudsons.
I wasn't there for that part yesterday. No.
Oh, yes, he mentioned that we had 4 Hudsons. I think it was 4 Hudsons, and I think we had three Wirraways. I think that's what our total air force was at that time. And you heard about the Tomorrowhawks.
Yes, yes.
And
were you there when they finally came?
oh yeah, yeah. I'll say, and the next day when they, the first day was when the Zeros came in, and we thought they were the Tomorrowhawks. But everybody was up cheering and waving, clapping, and we soon found out they weren't. And they had a picnic. But the next day, of course, we got orders the guns to be manned 24 hours a day. And the next morning we heard the same drone coming along. And thought, this is them again. They got a hot reception. There was a 3 hawks. Tomahawk.
Tomorrowhawks.
Tomorrowhawks, yeah. Kitty hawks, that's the Kitty hawks, yeah.
The day it arrived.
Yes. Yeah, the day it arrived, oh yes. But they put on a show for us when the reconnaissance man come over again at midday. He always used to come at 12 o'clock. I reckon that's where they got the title of that show, 12 o'clock high, I reckon.
Oh.
Yeah. It was when then I was with A Company for a while out there and towards the foot of this Akak Hill. Then later on I was out at Hitler's Bay with the C Company, and I shared this dugout with this chap Ian Griffin, and it was he that taught me that song.
What song was that?
I couldn't tell you the title of it, but it's to
Would you like to sing it?
Putting the pressure on.
Yeah, be brave.
It's to the tune of the Mountains of Morn, and he was humming it in the dugout the day we were on duty, and he's humming, and I said, "Oh, I know that tune." I said, "The Mountains of Morn." He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what are the words?" He said, "Oh," he said, "I heard it, learned it somewhere." He said, "So he wrote me out the words. I learned the words. I've remembered them ever since." And I was just giving Elaine a bit of a rerun a little while ago.
What about giving us a little rerun?
Oh well, I'm no Caruso, and I hardly qualify as a bathroom singer, but I'll give it a go if you want me to.
I think we'd love one. Don't you think? Yes, we're in agreement with...
You would. You with a name like that, you should support me. Well, just have a go.
All right.
I just hope I start off in the right key.
I wouldn't know if you didn't, so that's all right. Feel free.
All right. Well, staff. Or before that, I'll tell you the story. It's about a young soldier, Australian soldier, up in New Guinea. He'd been up there for a while, and he's feeling very homesick, and he's a bit fed up with the mozzies and the malaria and everything else, and he's pouring out his feelings to somebody, whether it's a company sergeant major or the company captain or whoever, or just a mate, I don't know. But these are just the words, and that's what reflects it. Oh, staff, this Papua's in a hell of a plight, with mosquitoes a-biting by day and by night. They don't give a damn, they give you no rest. They sting and they bite, they're a hell of a pest. And when at last you do fall asleep, across your bare bosom large red ants they creep. The snakes and the spiders come in for their share. Oh, how I wish I were back over there. Now the Japs are the least of our worries up here. There's diseases, tin cheeses, and oh bloody beer. No water to wash in, no water to drink, no water to clean off the BO and stink. But though we may grumble and growl all the while, when we're out on a job, sure we do it in style. And when we return, they'll know at a glance, we won freedom for Aussie and made the Japs dance. The first issues of mosquito, well, not repellent, the medicines, quinine, anti-malarial treatment was liquid quinine. And it was a must. You did not miss these sprays, it was a must. We got a teaspoon of liquid quinine, and they watched you drink it, swallow it.
It was compulsory.
Compulsory, yeah. And it was the most vile tasting stuff. Puts all your teeth on edge all night, And but then later on, then they advanced and they got the Atropine tablets.
Yes.
And that was much easier to take. And but they gave you a jaundiced sort of a look, yellowy sort of thing, with all these yellow tablets. But anyway, I suppose it helped to curtail the instances of malaria. One of the most popular remedies they gave us, some smart bloke, he was a real smart fellow. They brought on an issue of a bottle of beer per day per man, as it had anti-malarial qualities in it. Oh, this was great. So we, with our first issue, we strung a tent fly or something or other between two trees and put a whole lot of water in, put the first issue in there and just let them keep cool in there overnight, the next day. So when we got the next issue, we took the first one out and put the next one in.
So you had your own fridges?
Yes, but that only lasted about 6 weeks. I don't know why they cut it out, but that only lasted about 6 weeks. We were all in favour of that remedy.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We've talked about some good, obviously you've had some good times with a bit of a sing-along, etc. What were some of the difficult times in those early stages?
The heat, the humidity. See, we got up there in
January.
January, and it goes right through to about April, something like that, before we start to get into the drier season. And it always used to rain about 2:30 in the afternoon. It poured down. Then 4:30 it clears off and the sun's out. It's just steaming. It's running out, I suppose that would be one of the worst, and then mosquitoes and at night time, they carry you away. And we had our own mosquito nets, and they had the ones with the 4 walls, and you peg them down to the ground and try and keep them out. And you'd see all different chaps. I did it myself. You'd be inside your mosquito net, you'd light a match, and you go around the top end and burn them off. And the heat would knock
I'll
them
go
off.
through the net.
I wouldn't. We didn't burn the nets.
No.
But
the heat went through the head.
Heat went through, but the heat would knock the mozzies off. You know, of course you took an awful risk that your net would go up. I don't ever remember any going up. But that was one remedy, because it was hard to keep the brutes out while you're setting your net up.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We did hear of one gentleman who burnt socks. Did you hear of that happening?
No.
He burnt his woolen socks, and the smell of the woolen socks burning the
You wouldn't have to burn the socks for the smell of the socks. That'll knock anything off.
Well, you wouldn't have had many socks to change
No,
into.
you didn't. No, that's right. Other humorous things. I remember when I was with A Company and we were at the foot of the hill. Word had got around, there was a wallaby hanging around, and so two of the SIGs, they left me in charge of the communications that day at our A Company. They went off some other fellas. They got this wallaby and brought him back, and we had wallaby tail soup and we had some steaks and things like that. It was a change of diet, yeah. I remember that day, yeah.
So what was your normal diet that you
Oh,
had the change from?
well, bully beef and biscuits and actually our A Company cookie. Some cooks, they'd murder the food, but our bloke, he didn't do a bad job. But he'd have potatoes and some sort of meat, bully beef or something or other. It was a monotonous sort of a diet. It was a very little. You'd have powdered eggs, and stuff, all tin stuff, powdered stuff, and things like that.
Well, fresh wallaby be very welcome.
Yes, we went down real good. Yeah.
We know that a lot of the soldiers in the 39th suffered and were ill. Have you got a story to tell about your problems in that line?
All right. There's another thing. When I was out at Chippersley, with the observation, I'd just come back, done my 8 days. I'd come back, and there's another patrol out there, and we were operating from a bit of a rise, top of a rise, so we get the clear vision for the heliograph and also the Lucas lamp. And I was on duty with them, and anyway, I was up there working on it, and well, the next thing I know, I'm down at the bottom of the hill. I just blacked out, and they put me into the RAP tent, and I developed malaria. I was in the hospital for the best part of a fortnight. And while I was in there was a Jap raid came in and had zeros flying around the drone. Some stupid idiot around a hospital area, he fired a gun at him. And of course they did likewise. They banked around and they came across, did the place over. And you've never seen blokes hit slit trenches so quick.
Yeah.
That
These were patients from the hospital.
Yeah, and didn't do a lot of them any good either. But I was there for a fortnight, and I got over it and went back to my normal duties. And that's the only time I was sick before we went over the track. And
what was the hospital like? Can you describe the hospital?
what was the name of it? Was it we were housed in tents and marquees sort of things. There was quite a few patients in there at the time. Wonderful staff. Now,
They would have been all male, mentally
I was just about to say the same thing. I think they were all male staff. There might have been I don't know whether they call it a casualty clearing station or what, but don't quote me on that, I don't know. But it was a hospital, that's all I can tell you. And they were good, yes, they looked after us pretty well, yes. And that was the only time I was sick before we went over the track, yeah.
You mentioned that you went the time you got sick, or just after you'd been doing observations from the top of the rise. Is that where you met those young lads?
Oh no, that was over. That was over in the observation post where we met them.
Right.
This was when I was back at
This
the.
is before you went up there.
Back at company headquarters before we went over the track. Yes. Oh yes. Mm.
So, what are your early memories of going over the track then?
Well, we were unlucky in a way. We missed out on an aeroplane ride. The first lot, I think the first two plane loads, I think first plane load went over, they landed, and the second plane load went over, and I think I heard somebody say they landed and they out of the plane firing from the hip. You know, the things were so rugged.
Mm.
And they radioed back to Moresby and no more planes went. We were supposed to go out to the next plane, I think, from what I can remember of it. But that's when we had to walk over then, and we walked right over to from where we were at the 7 Mile Drome right through to the start of the track. Koitaki Plantation and Owen's Corner. That was the start of the track. And then from then on, you know, it was by foot all the way, and it was an experience, all right. I've never seen such steep hills, both up and down, and when you got further inland, you know, it was just a track, a muddy track. They didn't have the golden stairs when we went over. We just had the bare muddy track. Bare muddy track. Mm. I'd be hanging on to bits of jungle stuff to pull yourself through and that. And it was a real experience, and of course then our supplies were brought in by the biscuit bombers. When you get over through, I think it was Manari, was it? Where they had a wide open space, planes could come in and drop the stuff, and then they didn't land, they just dropped the stuff. Or some of it had parachute, a lot of it didn't, most of it didn't, they just roped up, and of course a lot of it burst on impact. And they'd be looking for stuff all around the place. And I dipped my lid to those pilots. They were fantastic. Gee, they were great. Of course, Moresby is so different then to what it is nowadays. Mm. We didn't hear of rascals when we were first up there. When we were up there during the war, rascals, we never heard of them. But the locals, they were very friendly and excitable, and as I said, very musical. And we got quite a lot of enjoyment and fun from knowing them, you know. The climate, well, I've told you about the climate. The culture, they do a lot of dancing. I mean, one time when we were up towards doing a signal school up in New Guinea before we went over the track, and there's quite a few natives there, and they used to put on entertainers of an evening, and even did their wedding dancing and all that, and all their singing. It was out of this world. It was really great. So that was just a very small thing, but still it was something different. But they're a bit like the islanders, you know, Solomon Islands and Fiji and all that. They're terribly musical too. Yes. So they're all together, you know.
You were telling us before a story about the young lads that played truant and came to sing.
Yeah.
Did you tell the tape that story?
Oh, we didn't tell that on tape. Oh, didn't we? Oh.
No.
Oh, sorry.
That's
yes,
all right.
Well, we're out on this observation duty out at Chippersley Point, and the next morning after we got there, all of a sudden 4 or 5 young boys, they appeared out of nowhere, and we want to know who they were, where they come from. Oh, down there, they just point, down there. And they just wanted to spend the day with us. They wanted to help things and do things. They even wanted to carry our rifles up the hill. And anyway, they'd spent the day.
How old would they have been?
Oh, from about 6 or 7 up to about 10 or 11.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, different times they'd sing to us. And the smallest little fella had the highest pitch, and as they grew older, the pitch would come down a fraction. They'd harmonise. Just natural harmony. Oh, you had to hear it to believe it. And and then the next morning, they appeared again, just out of nowhere, And you don't hear anything or see anything around that growth, heavy growth. They just come out of nowhere. And anyway, the next day, this well-dressed figure arrives after the boys had been there, and the boys were with us for a little while, and all of a sudden they're just gone, disappeared, and a couple of minutes later, they must have sixth sense or something, A couple of minutes later, this chap arrives, and he's looking for 4 or 5 or 6 boys playing the wag from school. Apparently, he was a teacher from the Mary Data Mission School, and he asked us had we seen these boys, and he spoke very good English, and no, nobody here, mate, look around, there's nobody here. We weren't going to dob them in. Anyway, he said, if you see them, he said, tell them we want them to return to school right away. He said, oh yeah, okay mate, right, they'll be right. Anyway, he hadn't been gone 5 minutes, and these young fellas just appear out of the growth again. Oh, they're cunning. And but they're bonny young fellas, and they stay with them, and they go back to the village in the night time, and they do this for 4 or 5 days. They did this, and we'd tell them, oh, you shouldn't be wagging, so you go back to school. And, oh no, Tabitha, we'd be with you, Tabitha. Anyway, we never saw that gentleman again, although I'd got that photo from him. I was very impressed with him, and so often wonder where he is these days and what he's doing. But no, that was a bit of a humorous interlude, Yeah, that's right.
Do you think they responded to the Japanese soldiers in the same way as they did to the Australian soldiers?
I wouldn't think so.
So they seem to have been very, very friendly. On the whole, very, very friendly.
Oh, yes, they were. And even up in when you get up along the track, and we'd meet some up on the track, and they were very friendly people. I know when we're going through some of the villages that had been vacated or evacuated, whatever you like to call it, there'd be the village gardens there, we'd dig up taro, and there'd be some wild fruit there and all that, That was a bit of a variety to our diet, and sweet potatoes, they're beautiful. Oh, great. And volleyball some every now and again. So, yes, they were a little bit of a humorous interlude, those young fellows. I think they gave us some insight of what they're capable of, their talents, particularly musical-wise. And they're full of fun. They love fun. They're a fun-loving country, I think so. And so different to what it is now. Moresby is such a different place. Yeah.
The isolation up there, did that worry you?
No, it didn't worry me. Didn't worry me. I don't think it worried anybody else that I can remember. I mean, we're all good mates. We supported each other and did things together, and when the times, there were rough times during air raid and things like that, and we had plenty of them.
How did you feel when you first came under attack?
I'll be quite honest and say I was scared.
Mm.
Yeah. I was, oh, I've got a word written down here. Well, what was it? Apprehensive, that's the word.
Yes.
Very apprehensive. Particularly when those first lot of Zero fighters came in and we thought they were the Kitty Hawks.
Yes.
And we were standing up, waving and all that, and then we got this hot reception from them, and life took on a different perspective altogether. And then we were subjected to bombing raids very, very regularly, and I don't recall us ever having lost any of our personnel directly through air raids. I don't know. You'd have to go through records for that. But where I was, we didn't. I was with A Company then most of the time, and we were situated between the aerodrome and the Akak Hill, where the anti-aircraft guns were, and we were more or less in the direct line, you know. But they never ever got the Akak guns, never got within bull's roar of them, and the searchlights, and they did a great job. I remember the time the searchlights were first on, and there was a night raid, and there were three bombers came over, and searchlights opened up, and look, the first beam was right spot on the triangle, spot on the triangle, absolutely marvellous, and then the first shot went up.
Yeah.
And it landed, not landed, but it exploded right in the middle of the triangle. It was magnificent. I can still remember that. Oh, the cheers that went up.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, beauty, give it on, you know. And it was a real feature. And after I was retired, living in Kahuna, a chap and his wife came to live in a unit 4 doors down, and I found out he's an RSL man, so I got to know Alan and his wife very well. We still do. As a matter of fact, Alan passed away about 7 years ago. But we were talking away, and he mentioned Milne Bay, and he said, "You at Milne Bay?" He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "We're at Milne Bay, yeah." And he said, "Then we went up to Moresby." I said, "Moresby?" I said, "You weren't with the 23rd Victorian Heavy Akak battery?" He said, "Yeah." He was with the 67th Searchlight battery. "Oh yeah," he said, "I remember that night." He said, and I said, "So do I, mate." That was a small world. He just lived in 4 doors there. Oh, we had some great old talks, yeah. But see, that's something that I found out, that whether it's what the authorities think of, but a lot of it's been said that the 39th Battalion were the first to engage the Japanese. Well, actually, I don't think we were, because there was others down at Milne Bay. There was a campaign at Milne Bay before Kokoda. But,
were they the first to engage or the first to turn them back?
I think they were the first
Were they saying?
to engage, I think. And, but anyway, they cleaned them up at Milne Bay. But I won't go into certainly some hairy situations, yes. Oh, that's right. Because you when they were coming over, you look up, you can see them coming, and you see the bombs glistening in the sunlight. And so long as you hear them, you're right.
Yes.
It's just one that when you didn't hear them, it hit you.
You mentioned apprehension.
Yeah.
Over time, did that apprehension lessen or did it remain?
When we got a lot of aerial support with both fighters and bombers and things like that, I think it dropped a bit. The level
but it was
of
still there.
apprehension was still was always with us to a certain extent, Maren.
Yeah.
You couldn't get away from that. We get an issue. You get a number of biscuits, you know, dog biscuits we used to call those, harders, everything, you know, and we put them in the hat bands of our hats.
Oh.
And
get sweat.
No, on the outside of our hat.
All right.
And when we were crossing a creek, take 2 or 3 down and soak them in the cold water, and then we'd eat them, yeah. And did that a few times.
From what I hear, though, you'd have to soften them up.
Oh, you had to. Oh, yes. Oh, they were hard as brickbats, yeah.
Oh.
But they filled a crack or two, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that was needed.
It was needed, yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of the time on the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Before we come to that last little bit on reflections, is there anything else, any other stories you think you'd like to put on the tape?
Can you describe the jungle, how you felt about it? Well, it was, I don't know whether you call it beautiful or not, but it was, it was so thick. You know, you couldn't see off the track. I mean, if there was anybody 2 feet off the track, you wouldn't know they were there. And that's one thing I felt was a bit menacing, that you sort of didn't feel safe what was on the other side, 2 feet off the track or something like that, or whether you'd drop down 20 feet or not, you know, or something like that. But you sort of felt, what's the word, you feel enclosed.
Claustrophobic.
That's it, yeah, claustrophobic, yeah. But I don't think I've ever felt that way, but I've just felt it didn't have enough room.
It was an unpleasant feeling.
Yeah, sort of, yeah, particularly when you got further up the track, you know. The river crossings, they're a test of nerve when they just had the trees felled across, you know, and didn't have handrails either. I might have been the odd one, but most of them were just the wide trunks felled across, you know. Well, I didn't hear of anybody falling in, but we have our heavy hobnail boots, you know, but I didn't hear of anybody falling in, and somebody up there must have liked it. Anyway, I can remember those, and they had very steep banks too. Was there any comfort at all? Well, there's very little comfort. You slept where you arrived, you know, and of a night time, and it was hard going, you know, with the ups and downs and steep climbs and steep descents. And I found the steep descents worse of the lot, harder on the knees, on the legs. But we got there. We know the soldier of 39 suffered, were wounded or ill. Well, I developed tinea in my feet and chafed feet, and I'd got as far as Dennegy, and I was with A Company and then C Company. I was with C Company when we got the withdrawal system going, and we got back to Isharava, and I was on duty at Isharava, and I on duty one morning on the switchboard at headquarters, and next thing I wake up in the doctor's RAP, regimental outpost, the doctor bending over me.
He must have passed out.
Oh yeah, out cold, yeah, and I'd had a relapse of malaria, and so he said, he said, you're no good to us now like this, and he said, you're for the walk back. So that was the extent of my operation, you know. So I consider myself rather a lesser light of the battalion. I didn't actually...
Oh, I wouldn't do that. Everybody's job surely was important at every step of the way.
Oh, yes, I go along with that too.
Every step.
Anyway, I got halfway back, and the 2nd 14th Battalion came up, coming through. And the very first chap I saw, I recognised. He's from my hometown. Went to school.
Who was that?
Lindsay Ferguson. He got the military medal up there.
Yes.
And they called him Stumpy. And I went to school with him. And he said, God, he said, what are you doing here for? Well, I said, same thing as you, mate. And the next thing he dives his hand in his pocket, here, have a smoke.
Oh.
typical Aussie soldier. Have a smoke, mate, you know, something like that, you know. Oh, I'll never forget that day Lindsay walked into my life up there halfway up the track. Yeah.
Mm.
And then got further down, and another mate, old school day mate, Ron and I, we both left the 58th Battalion together, and he caught up with me on the way out, and he was very ill with dysentery.
He was being sent back too, was he? Mm.
He had dysentery. And, he helped me and I helped him. And we got back to hospital. And when we got back to the start of the track, the first thing we sort of noticed was the Salvation Army tent, marquee, whatever you like to call it. And it was one of the most welcome sights ever. And he's a great bloke, that Salvation Army man. And he looked after us, and we finally got to hospital. And,
did you actually stay there for a while?
Oh, only a few hours, I think.
Right.
Oh, yes. Oh,
What, a cup of tea and...
something like that. A cup of tea and something to eat, you know.
And then
we went on to hospital. We went to different hospitals, but I couldn't tell you the name of the hospital. It might have been the 2nd, 9th, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I was in it about 4 weeks. Just got over it and sent me to the Koitaki convalescent camp. I was there for about another fortnight. Blow me down if I didn't cop the dysentery very badly. And back to hospital in another month or so. Finally got back to the convalescent camp again and got over, got well enough, and by then the 39th had come out.
Yes.
And I'd gone over for a spell at Hombom Bluff, I think it was. And then they were on to the Buna campaign. Well, I missed out on it. And when I was fit enough for resume duties, I was allocated to the New Guinea Force headquarters for communications. And I got to about February, March 1943. And I went home on sick leave and home leave, and I was on the way back and got up as far as Cairns. They told me the 39th Battalion had been disbanded.
How did you feel about that? What was your reaction?
I was absolutely shocked.
Yes.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Then I found out that there was only, I think it was 7 officers and 25 other ranks left that were fit, and they decided not to reinforce it, build it up again, and it struck us off. So, we went all round the place. I went to the 2nd 8th Battalion. But I only lasted there about 6 or 8 weeks, and these things gave way on me.
Where were you? How did you take the news that war had ended?
Oh, we were absolutely delighted. Oh, yeah. Where was I now when war was ended? Oh, I was in Sydney, that's right, at the Leave and Transit Depot in Sydney, Marrickville, Sydney, in the Army Post Office there, at Leave and Transit Marrickville, yeah. Oh, the great joy went.
How did you celebrate?
Oh, cried. Probably had a few beers, sat in the canteen. I only had beer while I was in the army. I only smoked it while I was in the army, or a few years after the army. But we celebrated the Leave and Transit Depot. Oh yeah, too right we did. And then I was there for just another few months till my number came up for discharge. I went down to Melbourne, discharged at Royal Park, Melbourne. Yeah, I think it was the 26th of April 1946, I think it was. Yep. And then I started work in the post office on the 13th of June 1946.
So it continued on the same line of work. We've talked about the New Guinea campaigns. What do you think is really important to remember about those campaigns?
Yes. Well, first of all was the defeat of the Japs. We cleaned them out of Gona, Sanananda, the rest of New Guinea. That was the major operation, and came to a successful conclusion. Another thing was the fact that it was a joint operation on the Kokoda Track between the CMF and the AIF, Citizen Military Force, the 39th Battalion. We've got the highest regard for the 2nd 14th and the 2nd 16th Battalions, and I think that's reciprocated.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And that was in particular at Isharaba, and later on. What else was important about that campaign? Well, I do feel it was the first lead up to the final conquest of the Japanese. I can't speak highly enough of the Aussie boys. And we had Americans in to help us here and there. And their Air Force was good. They were great. Their aerial support and so on. Marvellous what those fellas did, particularly with the heavy bombers and things like that. They took awful risks. Oh, gee, they did. But no, we dipped our lids to them, and I think we did Australia proud.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. What about for future generations? Anything in particular to tell future generations?
I think there is a real growing interest in the 39th Battalion and Anzac Day in particular, of all Australian troops. You see it on Anzac Day in Swanson Street and St Kilda Road. Now, I've been going to St Kilda Road Anzac Day marches for many years, and over the last 10 years in particular, I've sensed a growing number of younger people in amongst the spectators, you know, the people along the route.
Yes.
And to me, they're very genuine.
Yes.
In their applause and their greetings, they're waving the flags. And yes, I don't think Anzac spirit will ever die out.
I sincerely hope not.
And my young family, my grandchildren, they're just fabulous now. They've learned about it. Last year, and I'm so proud of this, last year my son, he lives at Baronia, Peter, he and his wife, and he's been mixed up with Scouts and Venture Scouts and all that all his life. I'm very proud of that. And anyway, he's been helping Canada carry the banner for years. Oh, and he's so pleased, proud of that. But last year, well, I arrived at the march, because I ride in the vehicle now, the open air vehicle. But all of a sudden, there's Peter and his wife, and then there's Eileen, Brent, and my other daughter, husband and family, and my 6 grandchildren, all helping, with Peter, all helping to carry the banner.
That's lovely.
Oh, I'm absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
Peter had organised it without me knowing. Frank Jameson was in on it. I never knew a thing about it. Oh, I was just like a stunned melon. I lost my words.
So the tradition lives on.
Gee, I was proud.
And you had reason to be. Well, I think that brings the interview to a conclusion, so I'll thank you very, very much on behalf of the 39th.
I hope I've done satisfactory.
Oh, it's been wonderful.
Yes.
And thank you for the future generations that'll see this.
Yes.
Thank you.